All right, everyone, lean in for a second. I want you to hear me loud and clear. Too many of you are pouring your heart, your soul, your energy into people who treat you like an option. You're showing up for people who don't show up for you. And then you wonder why you feel drained, disappointed, and disrespected. Let me tell you something. Your presence is a privilege, not an entitlement. You are not obligated to stay in spaces where your worth is questioned or ignored. And sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to step back, to walk away, to ghost them. Now, I know what you're thinking. Tony, isn't ghosting immature? Isn't it rude? Listen to me carefully. It's not about running away or avoiding accountability. It's about recognizing when a relationship, a friendship, or even a work environment no longer aligns with your values. When you remove your presence, you give people an opportunity to feel the weight of your absence. You see, sometimes people only recognize the light you brought into their lives when you turn it off. Here's the magic part. Absence is a mirror. It reflects everything they weren't willing to see when you were there. It reveals their true priorities, their true loyalty, and whether or not they actually value you. But listen, this isn't about revenge. This isn't about teaching someone a lesson. This is about self-respect. It's about recognizing that your energy is a limited resource and you can't afford to waste it on people who don't pour back into you. When you step away, something incredible happens. You create space for clarity, for healing, for growth. And let me tell you something else people notice. They notice when you stop showing up. They notice when your calls stop coming. They notice when your energy isn't there. And the people who truly care, they'll step up. They'll reach out. They'll change. But the people who don't, they'll fade away, and that's your answer. So here's my challenge to you. Stop begging for a seat at tables where you were never truly welcomed. Stop chasing people who wouldn't even walk a single step for you. Instead, focus on you. Build yourself. Heal yourself. Become so strong, so magnetic, so undeniable that the right people can't help but be drawn to you. And remember this, your absence isn't just silence, it's a message. It says, I know my worth, and I refuse to settle for less. Now go out there, know your value, and never, ever be afraid to walk away. You got this. Your presence is one of the most valuable things you can offer to any situation. It's easy to forget this when you're caught up in the hustle and bustle of life, especially when you're constantly trying to prove your worth to others. But let me make something crystal clear. Your time, energy, and focus are not things you should be giving away casually. Too often, people place value on everything else: money, status, external validation, but they fail to recognize the power of their own presence. Think about it for a moment. Every time you show up, you're bringing something unique to the table. You're not just showing up physically, you're bringing your thoughts, your perspectives, your energy, and your life experience. And this is no small thing. It doesn't matter if it's a relationship, a work situation, or even a friendship. Your presence has the power to change the dynamic of that space. You have the ability to uplift, to inspire, to support, and to contribute in ways that no one else can. But what happens when that presence isn't valued, when it's taken for granted or even ignored? This is where the problem lies. People who don't recognize the value of your presence will never truly appreciate what you bring to the table. And when you're constantly showing up for people who don't respect that, you're essentially giving them permission to treat you as less than what you are. It's a dangerous cycle, and it leads to frustration, resentment, and burnout. The truth is, your presence is an asset, and it deserves to be treated as such. The moment you start valuing your time, your energy, and your focus is the moment you take control of your life. It's about recognizing that you don't owe anyone your presence if they're not giving you the respect and the reciprocation that you deserve. When you truly understand the value of your presence, it becomes a powerful tool. You don't have to beg for attention or approval. You don't have to constantly be the one showing up for everyone else while they sit back and do nothing in return. Instead, you begin to understand that where you put your focus, where you invest your time, and who you share your energy with are all decisions that will impact your life in profound ways. Think about the people who value your presence, the ones who truly appreciate you for who you are. They're not just interested in what you can do for them, they genuinely care about you as a person. These are the people who uplift you, encourage you, and recognize the importance of your contributions. When you show up for them, it's not a one-way street. You can feel the mutual respect and energy exchange. You don't feel drained or undervalued. You feel motivated, supported, and empowered. Now contrast that with the situations where your presence is not valued. Maybe it's a toxic relationship or an unappreciative boss. Maybe it's a friend who only reaches out when they need something, but disappears when you need them. In these situations, your presence becomes nothing more than a formality. It's no longer about the energy you bring to the table. It's just about filling space. You become a placeholder, a background figure in their life, and that is not where you deserve to be. Recognizing the value of your presence means understanding when it's time to step back. It's not about cutting people off just for the sake of it. It's about choosing to invest your time and energy in places where it is truly appreciated. Your presence is a privilege, not an obligation. And once you begin to treat it as such, you'll start to see how much more meaningful your relationships, your work, and your life become. When you start valuing your own presence, you begin to realize that there's no need to chase after approval or validation. You understand that the people who are meant for you will recognize the importance of your presence, and those who don't will fade away. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, you're not here to fill a void in someone else's life. You're here to create a life that's rich with purpose, fulfillment, and mutual respect. Your presence is powerful. Never forget it. Too many of us have been conditioned to believe that our value is defined by the validation we receive from others. Whether it's seeking approval from a partner, recognition from colleagues, or likes on social media, we've grown accustomed to measuring our worth by external markers. But let me tell you, this is a dangerous trap to fall into. Your value is not determined by how others perceive you. It is inherent, built on the foundation of who you are, your talents, your character, and the unique contributions you bring to the world. Chasing validation from others only leads to disappointment, frustration, and a constant sense of inadequacy. When you place your sense of worth in the hands of other people, you give them the power to dictate how you feel about yourself. If they approve of you, great. If they don't, you're left feeling rejected, unimportant, and invisible. This cycle erodes your confidence and keeps you in a perpetual state of seeking external approval. The truth is, validation is fleeting. It's dependent on someone else's mood, opinion, or circumstances. People's views of you can change in an instant. One moment they think you're amazing, the next they couldn't care less. And if you build your life around seeking this kind of external validation, you'll never find peace. You will always be in a state of constant striving, never feeling truly good enough. Instead of chasing validation, focus on self-respect. Self-respect is built on the recognition that you are valuable just as you are. You don't need someone else's approval to feel worthy. You don't need to be told that you're doing well to feel like you're on the right path. When you have self-respect, you understand that your actions, your choices, and your standards are guided by your own internal compass, not by what others think or expect from you. Self-respect means holding yourself to a higher standard. It's about honoring your own boundaries, knowing when to say no, and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. It's about taking responsibility for your own happiness and not relying on others to create it for you. When you respect yourself, you demand respect from others. You won't tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or being taken for granted. You'll stop chasing after people who don't appreciate you and instead invest your energy in relationships that nurture and elevate you. Let's take a moment to really understand this concept. When you stop seeking validation from others, you free yourself from the burden of trying to meet everyone else's expectations. You stop compromising your values, your needs, and your desires to fit into someone else's mold. You stop apologizing for who you are and start standing firm in the knowledge that you are enough exactly as you are. Imagine the kind of freedom this brings. You are no longer at the mercy of someone else's judgment or opinion. You make decisions based on what's right for you, not what you think will gain you approval. You can pursue your goals, live authentically, and engage in relationships that are built on mutual respect and understanding. And the beauty of this is that when you no longer need to seek approval, you become more attractive to the right people, the ones who appreciate you for the person you truly are. Self-respect is the foundation of self-love. It allows you to step into your power, knowing that you are worthy of all the good things life has to offer. You no longer need to prove yourself because you know your worth, and that is the most attractive thing you can offer. People will be drawn to your confidence, your clarity, and your unwavering belief in yourself. So stop chasing validation. Instead, focus on developing a deep sense of self-respect. Know that your worth is not up for negotiation, that you don't need to seek approval to feel like you belong, and that the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. When you value yourself, the world will follow suit. There are moments in life when you have to make a choice that might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself to step back, to withdraw, to ghost, and to let your absence speak louder than any word ever could. I know it sounds counterintuitive. It sounds like a move of weakness, of retreat. But I want you to understand something. Sometimes stepping away is the strongest thing you can do. Think about this for a moment. Your presence is a force, an energy that impacts the world around you. And when that energy is no longer available, when it's no longer in a space, it creates an absence that is felt deeply. It's like turning off the light in a room. Suddenly the room feels different, darker, emptier. The same applies to people's lives. When you're there, you're bringing something valuable, whether it's your energy, your support, or your insight. And when you're gone, the void that's left behind is noticeable. Now, I'm not telling you to ghost someone just to hurt them, to punish them for their mistakes. That's not what this is about. This is about recognizing the power of your absence and using it strategically. Sometimes people only truly realize the significance of what they had when it's no longer there. It's not about manipulating others or seeking revenge. It's about choosing to remove yourself from a situation that isn't serving you and watching how the absence forces others to confront the truth. When you leave, you give people the chance to reflect. And sometimes this is exactly what they need to realize, how much you've been contributing to their lives. Maybe they didn't see it before. Maybe they took you for granted. Maybe they thought you'd always be there, waiting in the wings, ready to fill the gaps in their lives. But when you withdraw, suddenly everything changes. Their world is quieter. Their life feels a little more out of balance. That's the power of your absence. But here's the kicker. This absence isn't about making them feel bad. It's about forcing them to see things clearly. It's not until you step back that people often realize the true value of what they had. They start to notice how much they relied on you, how much they took for granted, and how empty things feel without you around. And when they experience that, it triggers something in them. It triggers the understanding that you were not just filling space, but offering something irreplaceable. Your absence gives people the opportunity to reflect and reevaluate their priorities. When you're no longer available to fix things, solve problems, or offer support, they are forced to face their own reality. They begin to understand whether they were truly valuing you for who you are or simply taking advantage of what you could provide. And when that happens, both of you are presented with a truth you might not have seen when you were constantly present. Here's the beauty of this. When you step away, you give yourself the space to heal, to grow, and to regain your own energy. You stop being drained by situations, people, and environments that don't nurture you. You start focusing on yourself, on your own well-being, and on what truly matters to you. It's not about running away. It's about reclaiming your power and realizing that you deserve to be in situations where you are valued, appreciated, and respected. In your absence, you'll also gain perspective. You'll start to see the people and situations around you with clearer eyes. Sometimes the best way to see the truth is to create space between you and the circumstances you're dealing with. And when you look at those situations from a distance, you might just find that you don't need them as much as you thought. You might realize that stepping away wasn't a loss at all. It was a gain. It was the beginning of something better, something more aligned with who you are and what you deserve. So remember this, your absence is not a sign of weakness. It is a powerful choice, a statement that you understand your worth and are willing to stand by it. Sometimes stepping back and allowing the space to fill the silence is the most profound message you can send. It speaks volumes and it forces the world around you to either step up or step out. And that is the kind of clarity you need to truly move forward. When you remove yourself from a situation or a relationship, you open the door for clarity to enter. We often operate in a fog when we're too close to something, too immersed in the daily interactions, too involved in the dynamics. It's in the absence, in the space you create by stepping back, that you truly begin to see the truth of a relationship or situation. People reveal themselves in the absence of your energy, your time, and your attention. And let me tell you, this is where the real revelations happen. Think about it. When you're always there, when you're constantly giving, supporting, or showing up, the people around you can sometimes become complacent. They get used to your presence. They assume you'll always be there to fix things, to help out, to fill the gaps. But when you step away, when you ghost them, you break that pattern. And this break in the routine forces a shift. Suddenly, things are different. They are no longer comfortable. They are left with themselves. And that's when their true intentions and priorities begin to surface. Without you in the picture, they have to face the reality of what the relationship was really about. Were they truly invested in you, or were they simply enjoying the benefits of your presence without truly valuing it? Were they reciprocating, or were they taking advantage of your generosity, your time, or your energy? In your absence, they're forced to reckon with these questions, and that's when the truth starts to come to light. This can be a sobering experience for both sides. For you, it's the realization that not all relationships are as balanced or healthy as you may have believed. You might come to understand that some people were only there for what they could get from you. And when you were no longer around to provide it, they simply moved on without a second thought. That's the truth of who they are. And as painful as it may be, it's far better to know that sooner than later. For them, your absence might trigger a moment of clarity. Some might take a step back and truly see how much you contributed, how much you sacrificed, and how much you cared. And that might be the moment when they realize they've taken you for granted. This could be the wake-up call they need to reevaluate their behavior, their priorities, and their relationship with you. But here's the key. This realization is not your responsibility. You are not responsible for making people see your worth. That's their job. And sometimes the best thing you can do is step away and let them discover that on their own. The absence also allows you to see things with greater clarity. When you're no longer emotionally invested in a situation, you can look at it from a detached perspective. You can assess whether it's serving you, whether it's aligned with your goals and values, and whether it's worth your time and energy. And often you'll realize that there are certain relationships or situations you've been holding on to out of habit, not because they're actually good for you. This is where personal growth happens. When you have the courage to step back and give yourself the space to assess, you gain a clearer vision of what's working in your life and what's not. You can begin to distance yourself from people, environments, and situations that drain you and start to focus on the ones that nurture your growth and push you toward becoming the best version of yourself. Ultimately, absence brings clarity not just for the other person, but for you as well. You start to see who truly values you and who is only there for convenience. You begin to understand what you need from relationships, and you start to develop a stronger sense of what is worth your time and energy. And once you have that clarity, you can move forward with greater confidence, knowing that you are no longer investing in relationships that don't serve your highest good. So don't be afraid to step back and let your absence create the space for truth to emerge. Sometimes it's in the silence and the absence of your energy that the real understanding comes. And that understanding will guide you toward better, more fulfilling relationships and situations in the future. When you choose to step away from people, situations, or relationships that drain you, you create the space to focus on the most important person in your life, yourself. This isn't selfishness, this is self-preservation and self-improvement. Far too often, we pour all our energy into others, whether it's trying to fix problems that aren't ours to fix, supporting people who aren't willing to support us in return, or chasing approval from those who don't truly care. The reality is that when we do this, we neglect our own growth, our own needs, and our own potential. By removing yourself from draining environments, you allow yourself to heal, reflect, and most importantly, grow. Growth doesn't happen when you're constantly in a reactive state, constantly managing the chaos around you. It happens when you're in a position of calm. When you step back enough to gain perspective and clarity about who you are, what you want, and where you want to go. This is the kind of space you need to thrive. When you remove yourself from toxic relationships or environments that aren't serving your highest good, you create the opportunity to focus on personal development. You can now turn your attention inward, putting energy into building yourself up instead of constantly fixing things outside of you. You can dive into learning new skills, expanding your knowledge, cultivating new habits, and strengthening your mind and body. The key here is that personal growth requires your full attention and energy, things that are impossible to give when you're constantly distracted by the needs and demands of others. Stepping back from draining situations also gives you a chance to rediscover yourself. How often do we get so caught up in the needs of others that we lose sight of our own desires, passions, and goals? We forget what we want, what we need to feel fulfilled and happy. When you give yourself the space to focus on your own growth, you give yourself the opportunity to reconnect with your true self, what excites you, what drives you, what challenges you, what You begin to remember why you started on your journey in the first place. And as you reconnect with your own vision for the future, you start to feel reinvigorated, empowered, and aligned with your purpose. Another critical element of personal growth is learning how to set boundaries. When you step back from situations where you're being taken for granted or treated poorly, you're taking a stand for what you are willing to tolerate. This isn't just about cutting people off, it's about drawing a clear line between what you will accept in your life and what you won't. By doing so, you protect your energy, your peace, and your well-being. You teach others that your time and presence are not to be taken for granted, and in the process, you reinforce your own self-worth. When you focus on personal growth, you start to see how much potential you have to become the best version of yourself. You realize that you don't have to stay in relationships or situations that keep you stuck. You can break free from cycles that keep you small, and instead you can step into your true potential. This is when real transformation begins. You stop being a passive participant in life, and you become an active creator of your own destiny. As you grow, you begin to attract people, opportunities, and situations that are more aligned with your goals and values. You no longer settle for relationships or environments that drain you because you now understand your own worth and the value of your time. And this, in turn, creates more space for success, joy, and fulfillment. Personal growth doesn't just happen by chance. It requires intentional effort, focus, and time. And the most effective way to foster that growth is by choosing to step away from situations and people that don't support it. By focusing on yourself, you give yourself the best chance to grow, evolve, and reach new heights. So don't be afraid to take the time and space you need to become the best version of yourself. You deserve it. The world we live in today is full of distractions, noise, and constant demands. People pull at your time, attention, and energy, and it's easy to get caught up in a cycle where you're constantly giving without receiving anything in return. But here's the hard truth: your time and energy are not unlimited. They are precious resources that you cannot afford to waste. When you constantly pour yourself into situations and relationships that don't give back, you're left with little to show for it but exhaustion, frustration, and resentment. The most powerful thing you can do for yourself and for your peace of mind is to learn how to create space in your life for what truly matters. This means knowing when to let go, when to step back, and when to ghost people in situations that are draining you. It's not about avoiding confrontation or running from problems. It's about protecting your most valuable resources and making sure that you're investing them in things that are worth your time, energy, and focus. When you make the decision to withdraw from situations that drain you, you are choosing to stop wasting your time and start redirecting that energy into something more fulfilling. You give yourself the chance to focus on what's really important to you. This is when the real magic happens. You start paying attention to your goals, your dreams, and the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. You begin to prioritize your own well-being over the constant demands of others. This isn't just about stopping negative influences. It's about redirecting your focus to the things that truly serve your purpose. When you stop wasting time and energy on relationships that are one-sided, you free yourself to build something better. You create space for opportunities that align with your values, for relationships that are mutually beneficial, and for the kind of personal growth that will push you toward the life you truly desire. The beauty of stepping back is that it gives you time to assess your own life. In the absence of the constant pull from other people, you gain perspective. You start to see what is truly important and what is simply noise. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in pleasing others and fulfilling their needs that we forget to ask ourselves, is this relationship, this situation, this commitment helping me move forward in life? By ghosting or stepping back from the distractions, you give yourself the space to ask that question and, more importantly, to listen to the answer. This process allows you to get clear on your priorities. It becomes easier to see what's contributing to your growth and what's holding you back. You begin to realize that your time and energy are too valuable to be spent on things that don't matter. You start saying no to the things that drain you and yes to the things that elevate you. You become more intentional about where you place your focus, knowing that your energy is the key to your success and happiness. The more you practice this, the more you learn how to protect your energy. You begin to value your time, and in doing so, you start to value yourself more. You understand that your life is a reflection of where you invest your resources, and you become more discerning about where you choose to place your attention. The result? You begin to see better results in your life. You attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right experiences that align with your goals and your purpose. By choosing to stop wasting time on things that don't serve you, you create space for growth, transformation, and real success. And this doesn't just happen in one area of your life, it impacts every aspect of it. You'll find that when you stop chasing after things that drain you, you have more energy for the things that truly matter. And in that space, you'll find your purpose, your drive, and your fulfillment. So remember, time is the most precious commodity you have. The more you stop wasting it, the more you start creating a life that is intentional, fulfilling, and aligned with who you are. Every moment you free up from the distractions and energy drains is a moment you can use to build the life you truly desire. Make sure you're using your time wisely, because in the end, it's the one resource you can never get back. The power of stepping back, of creating distance, and of embracing your own absence cannot be underestimated. Sometimes the most impactful thing you can do for yourself and for the people around you is to stop giving away your energy, your time, and your presence to those who don't value it. By doing so, you not only show others the significance of what they had, but you also give yourself the space to grow, to heal, and to focus on what truly matters. As you begin to ghost those who are not serving your highest good, you are stepping into a place of self-respect and self-preservation. You stop wasting time on relationships or situations that drain you, and instead you create the conditions for personal growth, clarity, and focus. You learn to set boundaries, to prioritize your own needs, and to reclaim your time and energy for the things and people who truly matter. Remember, your absence is not a punishment, it's an opportunity for others to reflect, to realize what they've lost, and to confront the truth of their own actions. And for you, it's the beginning of something more powerful, the chance to rediscover your worth, to create a life aligned with your purpose, and to build a future that is fulfilling and truly your own. So embrace the power of your absence. Let it speak volumes, not just to others, but to yourself. In the end, your absence isn't just about leaving, it's about making room for something greater, for something better. And when you invest your energy in the right places, you'll find that the life you've always desired is already within your reach.